Neighborhood Imah X, and we are here with a weekend riff, a full moon reading, lots of different things. I hope everyone has been enjoying the feeling of all of these planets going direct. Like, I know that we have been dealing with retrogrades on retrogrades on retrogrades, and Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde and Mars retrograde, and everything seems to have been moving backwards. So I hope everyone is enjoying the spring forward. I know that's the phrase that they use for the daylight savings, but that's what the spring energy is. The Leo, that's summer, actually. I was talking about the Aries energy that is associated with fresh starts, fresh beginnings. I'm very excited. There's a lot of energy flowing. So let's go ahead and get to it. We're going to go ahead and cleanse the energy space most high. Make sure the energy is aligned for our highest vibrational good. And we're also going to go ahead and excellent. And that tuning fork is tuned to 528 hertz, which is a very, very powerful healing frequency. Get into it. But we are just going to go ahead. We have all of our moon themed decks on deck for the full moon reading. So we have our Moon Witch oracles. We have our Moonology deck. We also are going to be working with the Healing Energies Oracle. Just because now that we're coming out of the retrogrades and now that things are finally going direct, we want to make sure that we can heal anything that came up during the retrogrades, because that's what the energies are for. It's kind of a little bit like a Sankofa type of energy, like a look backwards so that you can come forward. So in retrograde season, sometimes we do a lot of re-examining. So it's like, how are we going to deal with the energies that came up? So that's what we're going to be asking the Healing Energies Oracle about. Let's go ahead and do this a little bit so you can see some of these card guys. And last but not least, we're going to be going with the Spirit Animal Oracle deck, which I am a big fan of. I work with a lot of animal totems. That is one of the ways that Spirit has been teaching me to receive messages and so forth. So I'm super duper grateful for that. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into these messages. I don't really have a structure for this one. Not going to do a pick a card, not going to do two groups. We're just going to see what flows. And if we might, we'll see. We're going to go ahead and start off with the Moonology deck. And Most High, Ancestors, Angels, Spirit Guides of our collective, what messages or energies do you have for us to give us a little bit of guiding principle? Let's see what we have. Okay, new moon in Scorpio, go deeper. First quarter moon in Gemini, speak your world into being. Peace to everyone in the chat. And new moon in Sagittarius, focus on the positive. Okay, so first thing that I am noticing, all of these cards kind of have a greenish hint and element to them, which means that we are dealing with heart chakra energies. We are dealing with heart chakra energies that are essentially asking us to focus on the things that bring us joy, bring us love, make us feel love. And we need to go deeper. Sometimes when we think of the things that we find enjoyment in or the things that nourish us, things can either be, soul food, or stuff can be junk food. So it's asking us to go deeper as we step into this full moon, go deeper into, what feeds us, go deeper into what truly nourishes us, and find the things that nourish us at a deep level and not just feed our ego, because it's very easy to get external validation based on superficial aspects, or get external validation based on achievements, or just get internal validations based on external things. What kind of car you drive can be a very big source of internal validation for you, or so forth. And so this moon is asking us to just go a little bit deeper and to dive into the things that truly give our lives and ourselves meaning. So not necessarily, your outside things, but more so the things that are going on within you that nourish you. I'm sorry, there's like a little bit of things going on in the chat, and I am I am not letting people's perceptions, their superficial perceptions of what I am doing here based on their limited knowledge. I have gone deeper into the understanding of how the energies in this reality work. And so what people could see as witchcraft or something low vibrational, we have to understand that everything in this reality is a tool, and it's usually about the energy that is being used behind it that determines the polarity of it, more so than the tool itself. Gunpowder was a thing for thousands of years before anybody used it for a destructive mechanism. It was originally used as, for fireworks for thousands of years and to make pretty lights in the sky, until one day someone with ill intent in their heart chose to use that tool for nefarious purposes. But that doesn't mean that the tool is inherently negative. So blessings to everyone who is here and joined in. And that's how we go deeper. That is a perfect example of how we go deeper beyond what we have been taught on a 3D level in terms of what is really real into this reality, because you can really speak your world into existence. Perfect example of this is Snoop Dogg did an interview famously a couple of years ago. And I know that everybody, Snoop Dogg is out here living his best life. I don't know if there's anybody who doesn't enjoy watching Snoop Dogg live his life. There's like a meme going around that Snoop Dogg finished all the main things and now he's just committing side quests. But I say all that to say, he said that he stopped talking about death so much in his music when he saw how much Biggie and Tupac talked about death in their music, and then they ended up dying. So he said after that, he stopped talking about death in his music and only started speaking life and joy into his music. And now he is out here living a life of joy. And it could really be that simple. It could honestly really be that simple. Life can very much be a choose your own adventure novel. It can also be an Oedipal self-fulfilling prophecy, depending on whether you are operating from a space of fear. If you are letting fear be the driving course, shout out to the band Incubus and their song Drive. But if you are letting fear take the wheel and steer, then you are probably going to end up in some places that you do not like, the way that your reality, your physical reality looks. You won't like the people that you have to interact with. You won't like the food that you have to eat. And this is the thing. A lot of times we have been disempowered to think that everything is doom and gloom. And that is why it is so important to focus on the positive, That's why it's so important to focus on the positive within everything that we do. As we're going deeper, we're making sure that we're focusing on the positive when we speak to ourselves, when we, so much of our thought processes and so much of what we think is possible is based on our internal dialogue. When you first have an idea, what does the little, like, what, you know, what is your first reaction? Is it like, oh yeah, that's a great idea because, and is it like, oh, enthusiasm and so forth? Or is it like, well, or do you start thinking negatively? Do you start thinking of all the ways that it could go wrong and all the things that, you know, could not be? And so you start to take the wind out of your own sails. When you do that, you start to deflate your own balloon. I don't know why I'm getting big up helium balloon symbolism, but sometimes you have to be the own wind in your sails, and you have to believe it. And your throat chakra is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly powerful. Words are so powerful in terms of how vibrationally they program reality. Pretty much, well, the Abrahamic religions, all their origin stories all tend to revolve around the Most High speaking and everything coming into being based on the vibration of that speech and the power of that speech. And we are all little microcosms of the Most High. So, you know, they say the power of life and death is in the tongue. Like, you can either speak life into people in places and things and ideas and yourself, or you can speak death into them and destroy them and tear them down. And that is your power. That is your power to be a force for good or for evil within this realm. And that is why we choose to focus on the positive over here on this channel. That's why we choose to focus on the positive over here on this channel, because life is too short and too long for nonsense. If you are going to be on this channel, you are going to hear that phrase a fair amount, because it's a me original, and it's apt, but it's too short and it's also too long. So we're gonna go ahead and go from there and get into the Moon Witch Tarot, Oracle cards. We're just going to do one shuffle for this guy. Celine. Bring light into somebody's dark sky. So we were just talking about how the power of life and death is in the tongue. So as we are stepping into the new moon, new moons are all about the moon being at its brightest point, its brightest, most illuminated, fullest self. And so you are being encouraged to step into your most illuminated, fullest self. Even though, let me cover it up, because apparently there's a boo-bye, but apparently, peace to the God, peace to everybody in the chat tuned in. But yes, we are being encouraged as we step into the full light of this full moon to also bring the full light of ourselves. Retrograde has been allowing us to clear out energies that no longer serve us, whether that is on an interpersonal level, whether that is on a professional level. And now that we have cleared out all that space, it's like if you have a room, right? You have a room and it's very, very cluttered. You can have a really, really nice light source in that room, but the clutter will throw off and cause shadows to be cast and shade to be seen in certain regions and so forth. Whereas when you clear that room out, you can see the full shine of the light source. So now that we have cleared out the internal mucked up areas that have been caused by just years of living on this plane of existence with unhealed people, because hurt people hurt people. It is a unfortunate side effect of this reality and this space-time continuum. But now that we have done the work, we can now use that to bring light into someone else's world. We do not do this work simply for ourselves because, like I said in the description, one of the things that we value here is community, heavy on the unity. Shout out to Umoja. In addition to, because we are so big on community, we understand that us, as whether you want to call us star seeds, light workers, chosen ones, divine beings, people who are of a certain high vibration, who want to leave places and spaces and people better than we found them. Not everyone carries that energy. And so we can get very depleted when we are encountering energies that are not like us. So it is very important to fill our own cups so that we can pour into other deserving cups. The goal isn't to fill yourself up so that you can just hoard it yourself. The goal is to be full and to have enough light for yourself that you can sustain, but then also so that when you see somebody else who their crown needs to be straightened or they need a little bit of a chin up, you can go and you can be that light for them because they deserve it. Now that's what the retrograde season was about. The retrograde season was about cleaning out all of the undeserving spaces, places, or people, because remember, those are the things that we endeavor to leave better than we left them. But if those places are not pouring into us, are not meeting us where we are, then then we left those alone. The retrograde, we left those alone, right? We let those be. So as we let those be, now we should only be dealing with and interacting with spaces where we can show up in the fullness of ourselves and not have to worry about being siphoned from, and not have to worry about being siphoned from, not have to worry about being detracted, not have to worry about being asked to show up in any capacity other than what you would like to be. Like someone just said in the comments, you can wear a shirt, right? This is a shirt. It's a shirt. I like, people would really like to restrict you and put you into boxes and to not allow you to show up in the fullness of yourself. And those are the spaces and places and people who do not deserve you. Anybody asking you to dim your light in any particular way, when you are in no way causing harm. Now, there's a thing about being in community that says, you have to be respectful of other people and so forth. But me wearing what I am wearing is in no way causing harm to anybody. This isn't even provocative on the scale of provocative. But people will always find a way to try to make you feel like you're not doing enough, to try to make you feel like you need to change some way. And we tell those people to kick rocks. We dance right on out of their lives. And we use our light to illuminate somebody else's dark sky. So take that as your hint today to go and wear whatever you want. Wear what you like. Because let's get into some healing energy. Let's get into some healing energy to clear that out. All right, so healing energy oracle deck. What message and affirmation do you have for us during this full moon period, this 2-week full moon period, so that we can be in alignment with our highest and greatest goods and make sure that we are, taking the steps that we need to serve our purpose. All right. Peace. I am unwavering in the face of fear. I come to my senses and embrace challenge. I am determined to think with gentleness and calm. I find inner silence and become a manifestation of peace. I am unwavering in the face of fear. Weren't we talking about earlier how when we are speaking our world into existence, we have to be unwavering in the face of fear? Because fear often disguises itself in this realm as realism. It's like, well, is that realistic? You know, is it realistic? Is it realistic? And it's like, who's to say what's realistic? Who's to say what's realistic? A lot of things that happen in reality are not realistic by logical standards. And yet, what did Whitney Houston and Brandy say? Impossible things are happening every day. Okay? It's possible. All right? So we say all that to say, if you love something and you really have a passion for it, go for it. Go for it. Be unwavering in the face of that fear, because this is the thing. False expectations appearing real. You are totally capable. So you don't have to worry about things before they become an issue. When things become an issue in real time, you can just deal with them in real time. It doesn't need to be a thing where you are thinking 18 steps ahead because you're trying to be strategic, because that's what you have to do when you feel unsafe, when you feel like you're at war, when you're playing chess and you're trying to vie for, space and so forth. But if you're not trying to conquer anyone and you are not, trying to be conquered, then you don't have to be in this fight or flight, freeze, or whatever state of being that reality is trying to program us with. The news is insane right now, and I don't even watch it, but like from seeing the things that are being reposted in my timeline, there is a level of fear mongering happening that we haven't really seen since COVID. Like everything right now is like, oh, tariffs. Aren't you scared? Oh, the vegetables are rotting on the vine. Oh, like, this, that, and the third. Like, it's just no matter what your socio-demographic, no matter where you are within the spectrum of reality, there is some sort of fear frequency being targeted at you. If you're a billionaire, you got the whole Luigi Mancini thing and got like the eat the rich thing. And you're like, I don't know. They looking like they want to kind of bring out the guillotines. And then if you are a moderate, a moderate middle class wealthy person, or a rich person who's not quite a billionaire, like everybody is being programmed with this fear of like you're not capable, like our ancestors haven't survived worse. And this is, across the board, because even people in Europe, y'all people survived the plagues and stuff. Like you are the gene pool of the people who survived the plagues, Black Death, all of that nonsense. Y'all are them. So everybody who is still here on this planet is here because our ancestors have been through some things, and they were the ones who were able to dig deep, who were able to go deeper and find an unwavering peace within themselves and understand that this too shall pass. This too shall pass. I come to my senses and embrace challenge, because that's the thing. Peace doesn't mean the absence of challenge. Peace just means that even in the face of challenge, you are so trusting of whatever you trust. We are non-denominational on this channel. We are open to every spiritual system over here, because we understand that divine truth goes through many, many tributaries, and it all kind of opens out into one ocean of divinity. And it's just, well, that was that river and that was that river. So I say all that to say, whoever you trust, whether it is science, whether it is yourself, whether it is a supreme God, whether it is a pantheon of gods, whether it is the universe, whether it is whatever you trust it. Trust it. Whatever you trust, just trust it and understand that no matter what happens, you will be okay. You're going to make it. You're going to make it. We going to make it. We going to make it. Like, shout out to Alchemist. Excellent name for the producer of that track. But we going to make it because we understand that challenge isn't something to be feared. It is something to be dealt with appropriately. But fear doesn't make you any more equipped to deal with a challenge. If anything, it adds a bit of a handicap because you get into the situation where, like, scientifically, it is proven that when you are afraid and it does not allow you to deal with your higher cognitive functions. You get into a very animalistic, reactive state, which is good if people want to control you and not have you making proper decisions, but is not good for you and your best interest. Unless you just trust whoever is making you afraid to also have your best interest at heart. But I don't necessarily see why somebody who would. Anyway, I say all that to say, I am determined to think with gentleness and calm because we're focusing on the positive. So much of our internal thought processes of things are based on just tropes that we have seen. Tropes that we have heard in songs, tropes that we have seen in movies. And so a lot of times we're always thinking worst case scenario. We hear about, shout out to it being 10:10 on the timer right now. And let's take a moment for gratitude. I'm grateful for everyone who is tuned in throughout the entirety of this reading. I am grateful for these cells in my body, and I am grateful for the air in my lungs, and I am grateful for sunshine, and I am grateful for the energy of peace and the energy of stillness, and I am grateful for the ways that the divine allows us to connect and communicate, and I am grateful for gratitude as a frequency that we can all tap into, whether we have everything that we want or not. Ashe. That's a thing that I do whenever I catch a double number. Sometimes I used to do, whenever I catch a quote unquote angel number back in the day, I used to do I used to look them up, but I kept catching them so often that now I just take that minute to do a little bit of, just a minute for gratitude. Just get realigned, recentered really quickly. So that's also another way to think with gentleness and calm, is to make sure that you are focusing on the positive, which means staying in an energy of gratitude, staying in an energy of being grateful for everything that you have, for being grateful for the little things. Because, you know, a lot of times we express gratitude after relief from a hardship, or, you know, when a big celebratory thing happens. But it's important to be grateful for the minutia of life, because that is some of the biggest, best moments. Like, without the cells in our body functioning at optimal levels, we would not be able to do anything. Without our lungs functioning at optimal levels, without air existing. So just being mindful of our place within creation and focusing on the gratitude and all of the things that had to coalesce in order for us to be here is just what's going to keep us sane. Is what's going to keep us sane in the current climate, because no matter where you are on the political spectrum, no one is happy. You know, everybody's got beef, whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right. Everyone is kind of trying to align. But I think, not even that I think, I know that peace in the face of everything that is going on externally is going to be the saving grace. So let's get into this last one. I find inner silence and become a manifestation of peace. It can be very easy to let the external chatter of the outside world become internal chatter. It can be very easy to allow the frequencies that are predominating the, the greater space in reality to become your internal workings. But we take deep breaths. We use our sound healing tools. We use our smudging herbal tools, whether in the form of smoke, whether in the form of tea. We use our tools in order to restore that calm, that balance, that silence, that stillness within ourselves. Because we know that it's all going to be okay. On God, it's all going to be okay. Like, it is very easy, especially like the world is crazy right now. It seems like a lot of people are glitching out. It seems like there's very much a vested interest in getting everybody to kind of be on edge and like you don't know what's coming next and to be afraid because you don't know what's coming next. Like, you could be excited because you don't know what's coming next, but that would require you to focus on the positive and actually think that good things are possible. To actually think that good things are possible. That's why it is so important to focus on the positive when we are speaking our world into existence, because it's just you and you. It's you and your inner dialogue as you are speaking the things that you want into existence. So when you are the one speaking it, why would you speak negatively? Why would you be like, well, if, no, not if, when this happens? I hear people say if, and I'll be like, when. I will correct you. I am that friend. If I hear you say if around me and some positive stuff, I will be like, when. Because people be like, well, if I get this, if, when for your goals. Like, when it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And if you go in with that mindset, if you focus on the positive and understand that what's for you is always going to be for you, it's not going to miss you, then you feel confident to say things like, yeah, I'm going to be the first millionaire, the first billionaire in my family. Like, yeah, I'm going to be the one to bring forth generational wealth. Like, yeah, I am the one who is healing these generational curses. Like, you get real comfortable speaking light into your life, and that allows you to also bring the light into somebody else's sky. Because this is the thing, when you create the life that you want, you then serve as an example to everybody else who didn't think it was possible. You go, they go, and even if it's people who was haters, that's the best part. They don't even have to be supporters in order to get the positive effects. Even if somebody was a hater and the whole time they was just mean mugging and being like, I know you ain't gonna make it, because they don't feel like they could make it within themselves. They don't have that hope and they want to resent you for having it. It is very easy for those people to be in that frequency until you start winning. And then it forces them to do one of two things. It either forces them to look at themselves and go, what was going on with me that I didn't feel like that person could win? What is it, me? Why do or they'll understand that it is possible, and they'll start to get out of their own way when it comes to them achieving their own goals. Like, bringing light into somebody's dark sky isn't necessarily about a one-to-one interaction. Most people have never been to the moon, but it shines and illuminates upon all of us. So we don't necessarily, when it comes to bringing light into somebody's dark sky, it doesn't necessarily have to be a 1-to-1 ratio and you sitting with them and so forth. And there's something to be said for that. That's why I do one-on-one sessions. I offer private readings. I offer just guided, shroom tea sessions. Like I offer one-on-one dynamics because there's something powerful to be said for that. But also at the end of the day, when you have a big mission and you have a lot of light and you are only one person, you can't necessarily do one person at a time. That might take longer than you have in this human form. So sometimes you just gotta go up into the dark sky and just shine upon the masses and the multitudes, and understand that that is possible, and understand that you deserve it and you are fit for it, and all of the beautiful, wonderful things. All right. So now we are going to go into our spirit animal oracle deck. Most High, ancestors, angels of our collective, what animal messages do you have to guide us through this period? Okay. Badger spirit, be fearless and be bold. First off, look at this card. The badger is like, it's got like a fire headdress on. It's got like a feather and a flower. I'm jealous. It's got like a mandala type of jewelry. This is a fly badger. This badger is bold. This is a bold badger. All right. So badger, be bold and fearless. That's a number 4 card. Okay. We also have vulture spirit. Nothing is wasted. All right, and that's 63, which is a 9 energy. Pig spirit, use your mind wisely, and that is 47. And one more will do. Cat spirit, claim your independence. All right, so that is 13. So we have 4, 9, 11, and 13. So let's go ahead and get into these energies. So be fearless and be bold. Fearlessness has been a common theme throughout this reading. So one of the biggest messages for this new moon, for this full moon period, is one of the things that we want to be working on releasing is any lingering fear that we have around our productivity, our ability to give or receive love, our worthiness of love. We want to be clearing and cleansing that out and making room for more bold, because live out loud, do it, do what you want. You want to wear a purple hat, do it. You want to walk, you want to stick a feather in your hat and call it macaroni, you can do that. Who's going to stop you? Who's going to stop you? Some people might look at you funny, but they would look at you, but people who look at you funny and judge you are not happy within themselves. Oh God, because people who love themselves are too busy worrying about what's going on with them to be hating on anything going on outside of them. That's just, it is not a thing that people who are in a high vibrational energy are rocking with. It's just not. Vulture spirit, nothing is wasted. So vultures often have a negative connotation because they're associated with death. They eat carrion and so forth. But there is something to be said for the cleanup energy that vultures embody. And as we are working on clearing out the last of the fear, we understand that nothing is wasted. So even though we are working on releasing the fear, even though we are working on cleansing and clearing the fear, we understand that it was only coming from a place within ourselves that was seeking to protect us. So we hold space for it and we forgive that portion of ourselves and understand that the times when we were operating in that frequency, I know it can feel easy. It can be easy to feel like that time was wasted. All the time when you were operating in fear and you weren't being bold, you can feel like it was wasted. And that can lead to, you know, like being hard on yourself or feeling like you're behind or so forth. But nothing is wasted. That time that you were spending in those energies, you were learning. And even if you were only learning to be able to reach back and be able to help someone else as they go through it. Like a lot of times when your destiny is to be a healer, you have to experience certain things so that you know how to deal with that ailment in like, no, I specifically dealt with it within myself. This isn't me giving lip surface to it. This isn't something that I've read academically. This is alchemy that I have done within myself. And so I can now present it to you and be like, here. So all of the bad experiences that you went through, that you healed from, were not wasted. They were not wasted. It's all part of the circle of life. Like, it's all part of that. And understanding how even the negative things contribute to the positive allows us to stay in the frequency of gratitude, allows us to stay out of the frequency of fear. Okay, moving on. Next, we have pig spirit. Use your mind wisely. I don't know why with this pig spirit, I'm getting like Babe, Charlotte's Web type energy. I'm trying to, so like use your mind wisely. So like, I don't know, for some reason, I'm getting messages as far as like collective consciousness. Because okay, when I first looked at it in the time from Babe when he had to get the password because the other sheep wouldn't listen to him without the password from the sheep, so he had to go and be like, "Ram you to your sheep, your clan be true, to your sheep be true, ram you," and he had to go and say that, and then the sheep would listen to him. There's something about that, and I'm not quite able to put my finger on it. In terms of what exactly is trying to be translated, but it's also coming in with like Charlotte's Web and how that also revolved around words and how it was Charlotte trying to save Babe's life. So she like, so specifically, she gave him the words in order to save his life. So it's something about wisely using the words that we are being given, because it might just save a life or give us access to places and spaces and power and authority that we did not previously have, but we have to be wise with how we do that. When we are given that power, we have to use it for the greater good. There was a lot of warnings in Babe when they gave Babe this password about not using it for negative purposes, not using it to take advantage of the sheep, and not giving it to a bunch of, you know, to the sheepdogs who don't necessarily have the sheep's best interest at heart. So there was something about gatekeeping, especially because we have 47 here, which is an 11. But there's something specifically about gatekeeping sacred words and information and not allowing them to fall into the wrong hands or mouths or tongues. I don't know who that's for, but that is very specific. And that one was hard. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that message was so hard to translate. But we want to make sure that we are using our powers for good. We're using our mind wisely. And maybe we all need to go and watch Babe. Because like that, there's something in that. And like, why did the sheep even have a password? Like, there's something to that in terms of like secret knowledge of, I don't know. We'll come back to it. That one was deep. Okay. Cat spirit, claim your independence. So that was simple. Anyone who has ever encountered a cat understands that they will be like, unhand me, get your hands off of me. Like, cats do what they want when they want. And they give very little cares about how it affects you. So as we are stepping into this full moon energy, we want to make sure that we are claiming our independence. We want to make sure that we are marching to the beat of our own drum, that we are, really embodying orange cat, that feral orange cat energy, just like the world is our oyster and we out here painting with the colors of the wind. Yes. Okay. All right. So I think that we are done here in terms of the card readings. I will say, do not cultivate your peace in this time. Cultivate your relationship with yourself. Cultivate your relationship with your neighbors, because even if we want to be scared about all the ways that reality can go wrong, community is what insulates us from disaster and so forth. So if we're worried about, food prices and so forth, then maybe start getting with your neighborhood community garden. If you are worried about tariffs and so forth, then maybe start getting with your local creatives and find ways to get the things that you would normally get from outside inside. It's about being solution oriented. Combating fear isn't about giving it a whole bunch of platitudes and so forth, because fear will just poke holes in all of those platitudes. So when you're confronting fear, it's very important that you focus on the real of the situation and the positive of it, and staying open to solutions more so than focusing on the negatives. Because it can be very easy to just be like, oh, well, this might happen and this might happen and this might happen. But all of those negatives mights are also positive mights. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a matter of how you decide to look at it, how you decide to frame it within your mind. And that's why it's so important to use your mind wisely. It's why it's so important to understand that nothing is wasted. Yeah. I just like to think that, okay, I knew there was something else here. So there was something trying to come to me, because I was like, what's the difference between all these animals? And I'm like, the rest of these animals are kind of like ground animals, but this one is the only bird. But also it is the highest number, 63 being here, being the highest number, but it is also the most elevated perspective, to understand that nothing is wasted, to understand that everything contributes to the tapestry that is life and reality, that everything counts and everything matters. So everything you do counts and matters. And that is why it is so important to make sure that you are operating from a frequency of love, because in a world where nothing is wasted and where things reverberate throughout time and space, what type of reverberations are you leaving? Are you leaving reverberations of fear? Are you leaving reverberations of lack? Are you leaving reverberations that say that everything is possible and that everything you need is within you and that it gets greater later? And it already is greater. So this has been this week's Riff weekend reading / guidance for energies coming out of retrograde. This retrograde period has been hard. It's been difficult. It hasn't been cute. I don't know about anybody else, but it hasn't been cute. It has been definitely a time of really reevaluating everything that you thought, and everything that you thought was love, and everything that, you know, was the motive and the driving force behind your actions. That was Mars retrograde. That was Venus retrograde. And now that we have that information, we are charged to do something about it. And you don't have to. People are entirely allowed to stay where they are. And a lot of people who see relationships and so forth ending, or see, you know, separations from people, places, and spaces, is because those people, places, and spaces are choosing to not evolve. They are choosing to stay at the frequency that they are at. And that is their right. That's their right, and that is their choice. That is what they are doing with the free will that was given to them. And you can't take that personal, but you also can't drag nobody along. And so you have to do the work within yourself to have peace with that, to have peace with the fact that you can't drag people along, and have peace with the fact that you can't save people who don't want to be saved, and have peace with where you are within yourself and all of that good stuff. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. Shout out to everybody if you're coming and joining us from over on TikTok. We do weekly readings over there. Monday we do rune zooms. A nice little like hump day, middle of the week primer on Wednesdays. And we also do readings on Friday for the weekend. This weekend reading got combined with the full moon reading. But check me out on TikTok. Check me out over here. Anybody wants to donate to the channel, the Cash App is $ImahX. It would be appreciated, but just your energies and your presence is appreciated. The Most High pays my bills. You know, I tell people all the time, I work for my ancestors. I work for the Most High. My job is raising the vibration of humanity in various ways, shapes, or forms. So catch me in traffic. And if you'd like to book a reading, inbox me, email me, all of the things. Everything is kind of in the description. And I love you guys. Be well, be blessed, be naturally you. It is French Quarter Fest in New Orleans. So if you were in the city, you might see me around, out and about, pop out. But I love you guys. I really, really do. I love you guys. I love all of you. And I wish you all of the greatest joys of your heart. I wish you love. I wish you peace. And I wish you joy. So be blessed, be well, be naturally you. And we are up out of here. Ka-chow, ka-chow.